This is Damon Fordham, author, historian, as well as adjunct professor of history at the Citadel and Charleston Southern University here in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, many of you perhaps are teachers, or if you're not formal teachers, you try to instruct people with what you think might be wisdom, and sometimes they don't want to listen. Whether you're sometimes a parent who's trying to teach your child the right thing to do, or you're just a concerned person who's trying to say things that you think might benefit society, but people don't always listen. And sometimes you feel that when you try to bring your wisdom out there or give some helpful advice or bring some sound teaching, the people don't listen and you feel like a failure. Well, I'm here to tell you tonight about another such person. You see, about 2,500 or so years ago, in one of the ancient countries of the world, there was a period called the Warring States. It was a time of slaughter and mass ignorance. And within this slaughter and ignorance, there was one gentleman who felt that perhaps if he went around teaching some of the old and forgotten ways that brought generations of his people together earlier, that it might save this new generation that was awash in all of this violence and unwise teaching. So he went around throughout his country and he taught people things such as follows: that a gentleman is he who puts words into deed first and sorts what he says to the deed. The gentleman is broad and fair, but the vulgar are biased and petty. Study without thought is vain, but thought without study is dangerous. And he went on to say that what is knowledge and what is understanding? Understanding is to know what we know and to know what we do not know. Pretty wise stuff, eh? And among other things, he would also say such things as, a gentleman considers what is right, and the vulgar considers what will pay. As well as to learn the truth at daybreak, and die at eve were enough. Pretty wise things, you'd have to admit, right? Well, he went around preaching this for many years, but at the end of his life, he felt that no one was listening, and that he'd wasted his time, and that his life was a failure. But guess what? Sometime after he died, there were people who did listen, and they agreed that this wise teacher's teaching should not go away with him. So they collected his teachings into a book. The book was called the Analects, and the name of this teacher in English, from his native language, was Kung Fu Tse, which in English loosely translates into the Master Kung, or, as you know in English today, Confucius. That's right, the wise sage Confucius, whose wisdom is known throughout the world today, basically was another teacher who felt that no one was listening and that he had perhaps wasted his time on people who didn't want to hear it. But as he spoke, there were people who heard. You see, what he did, and what many of you perhaps are doing, you may not see these results as instantly as you like, but you're planting a seed. And when you plant a seed, it takes time for that seed to grow. So even when your children or the people you're trying to teach do not listen to you now, you planted something there, and it'll take time for that to grow. So consider this, folks. Keep teaching if you're trying to reach people. Because as long as you keep teaching, there's someone who's going to listen. But if you remain silent, no one will. This is Damon Fordham.